Today, we're going head-to-head with some of the most common survival myths out there, the ones that could actually do you more harm than good. We've all seen them in movies and read them in books, but trust me, the wilderness throws curveballs that even the best survival guides can't always predict. We're talking about those life hacks that sound good on paper but could leave you stranded, starving, or worse. These myths get passed around, whispered around campfires, and sometimes even make it onto the big screen. But out here in the wild, there's no room for error. So, let's ditch the myths and get down to the real deal. We're going to separate fact from fiction, giving you the knowledge you need to stay alive and make it back in one piece. Stay tuned, because this is about to get real. Alright, let's talk frostbite. You're out in the elements, temperatures plummet, and suddenly your fingers or toes start feeling numb. It's a dangerous situation, and the clock is ticking. Now you might have heard that rubbing snow on frostbite will help, but that's a myth that could cost you dearly. The truth is, rubbing snow on frostbite is like taking sandpaper to a wound. It doesn't help, and it can actually cause more damage to the already vulnerable tissue. Imagine those ice crystals in the snow acting like tiny daggers scraping against your skin. Ouch, right? Instead of reaching for a handful of snow, focus on gradual re-warming. Get to a safe, sheltered location, remove any wet clothing, and slowly warm the affected area with lukewarm water. Never hot. Think of it like thawing out a frozen piece of meat. You want to be gentle and avoid any harsh rubbing. Rapid temperature changes can cause further damage and increase the risk of complications. Remember, frostbite is a serious condition. It requires immediate attention and proper care. Don't fall for the snow rub myth. It's a dangerous misconception that could leave you with lasting damage. Stay warm, stay safe, and always prioritize your well-being in extreme conditions. Let's talk about foraging for food in the wild. It's a vital survival skill, but it's also where a lot of myths take root. One of the biggest misconceptions is that if a bird can eat a berry, it's safe for humans too. Let me tell you, that's a dangerous game to play. Birds have different digestive systems than humans. They can handle toxins and compounds that would send us running for the nearest first aid kit. What might be a tasty treat for a bird could be a one-way ticket to a world of hurt for you. Trust me, I've learned this the hard way. Never, ever, rely on the if it's good for them it's good for me logic when it comes to wild plants. It's crucial to properly identify any plant before you even think about putting it in your mouth. Invest in a good field guide, learn about the poisonous plants in your region, and when in doubt, just leave it be. Remember, your safety is paramount. Don't let a rumbling stomach cloud your judgment. It's better to be hungry and safe than full and facing the consequences of a misidentified berry. We've all heard it before, moss only grows on the north side of trees. Sounds like a handy navigation trick, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that's another myth that could lead you astray. While it's true that moss prefers damp, shady conditions, it doesn't play favorites with compass directions. Moss can grow on any side of a tree, depending on the environment. Factors like sunlight, moisture, and even the prevailing wind direction can influence where moss thrives. So, relying solely on moss for navigation is like trusting a broken compass. It's just not reliable. Instead of relying on mossy myths, learn to navigate the old-fashioned way. Familiarize yourself with a map and compass, study the terrain, and pay attention to natural landmarks. Those skills will serve you far better than any supposed moss-based shortcuts. Remember, when it comes to survival, knowledge is your most valuable tool. Don't let myths and misconceptions steer you wrong. Okay, let's talk about hydration. Out in the wild, finding clean drinking water is essential for survival. But what happens when your supply runs dry and desperation sets in? You might have heard the myth that drinking your own urine is a viable option. Let me tell you, that's a myth that could leave you thirstier than ever. Here's the deal. Urine is essentially waste filtered from your blood. It contains concentrated salts and minerals that your body is trying to get rid of. Drinking it back down won't hydrate you. It'll actually do the opposite, further dehydrating you and potentially damaging your kidneys. Instead of resorting to desperate measures, focus on finding safe water sources. Look for flowing water, collect rainwater, or learn how to build a solar still to extract moisture from the ground. Remember, there are always options if you know where to look. Your body needs clean, fresh water to function properly. Don't fall for the urine myth. It's a dangerous misconception that could have serious consequences. Fire. It's the cornerstone of survival, providing warmth, light, and a sense of security in the wilderness. But starting a fire without the right tools can be a real challenge. One common myth is that you can use a shoelace for a bow drill, a technique used to create friction and ignite a tinder nest. While it might seem like a good idea in theory, shoelaces are often made from synthetic materials that are prone to stretching, breaking, or even melting under pressure. Imagine trying to start a fire with a piece of string that keeps snapping or turning into a gooey mess. Not exactly a recipe for success, right? Instead of relying on unreliable materials, pack a dedicated bow drill string, or better yet, a sturdy paracord. Paracord is strong, durable, and can handle the heat and friction generated by the bow drill method. Remember, when it comes to survival, preparation is key. Fire and ice. They might seem like polar opposites, but some believe you can actually start a fire using nothing but a chunk of ice and a bit of sunlight. While it's technically possible under very specific conditions, it's about as practical as building a shelter out of toothpicks. You see, to start a fire using ice, you need a perfectly clear piece. No cracks, bubbles, or impurities. Then you need intense sunlight and the skill to shape the ice into a lens that can focus the sun's rays with enough precision to ignite your tinder. It's a time-consuming and frustrating process with a very low success rate. Instead of wasting precious time and energy on this impractical method, stick to tried-and-true fire-starting techniques. Carry a reliable lighter, waterproof matches, or a ferrocerium rod. These tools are far more effective and won't leave you feeling like you're stuck in a survival myth. Remember, when your life is on the line, you need practical solutions, not fantasies. Picture this. You're lost in the wilderness, the sun is beating down, and you need to start a fire. You remember seeing a survival tip about using a sandwich bag filled with water to create a lens and ignite tinder. Sounds like a convenient hack, right? Well, like many survival myths, it's not as simple as it seems. While it's true that a plastic bag filled with water can act as a lens, it requires specific conditions to work effectively. The sun needs to be at its peak, the bag needs to be free of scratches or imperfections, and you need a steady hand and a lot of patience. Instead of relying on this finicky method, pack reliable fire-starting tools. A lighter, waterproof matches or a ferro rod are far more dependable and won't leave you stranded when you need fire the most. Remember, survival isn't about relying on gimmicks or shortcuts, it's about being prepared with the right knowledge and equipment. The fire roll. It sounds impressive, almost magical, creating a roaring fire by simply rolling a smoldering ember in a bed of ash. But like many survival myths, this one crumbles under scrutiny. First and foremost, the fire roll method requires ash, preferably from hardwood trees. If you don't have access to the right kind of ash, this method becomes about as useful as a chocolate teapot. Secondly, even with the right ash, the fire roll is notoriously difficult to master. It takes practice, patience, and a bit of luck to keep the ember alive and coax it into a flame. Instead of wasting precious time and energy on this unreliable method, focus on more dependable fire-starting techniques. Carry a lighter, waterproof matches, or a ferro rod. These tools will give you a much higher chance of success and help you build a fire when you need it most. Let's talk about edible plants. Foraging for wild edibles can be a valuable skill, but it's also where a lot of myths and misconceptions can lead to trouble. One particularly dangerous myth is that you can identify edible plants by taste. Here's the truth. Taste is not a reliable indicator of edibility. Some poisonous plants have a pleasant, even sweet taste that can lure unsuspecting foragers into a dangerous trap. Never ever rely on taste alone to determine if a plant is safe to eat. Always consult a reliable field guide, cross-reference your findings with multiple sources, and when in doubt, err on the side of caution. Remember, your health and well-being are paramount. Don't let a moment of curiosity or a rumbling stomach lead to a potentially life-threatening situation. The bow drill. It's an ancient fire-starting method that has helped humans survive for centuries. But one common myth surrounding the bow drill is that you can easily fashion a string from plant fibers found in the wild. While it's true that people have used natural fibers for bow drill strings in the past, it's a time-consuming and labor-intensive process. Finding the right type of fibers, processing them to remove weaknesses, and braiding them into a strong, durable string can take days, even for experienced hands. Instead of wasting precious time and energy on this challenging task, pack a dedicated bow drill string or a length of paracord. Paracord is strong, readily available, and can handle the friction and pressure of the bow drill method. Remember, when it comes to survival, preparation is key. Don't let myths and misconceptions lead you astray. So there you have it, folks. 10 survival myths debunked. Remember, the wilderness is a beautiful but unforgiving place. It's crucial to separate fact from fiction, to rely on knowledge and preparation, not on hearsay or Hollywood theatrics. Always do your research, learn from reputable sources, and practice your survival skills in a safe environment before you ever need them for real. Trust me, a little preparation goes a long way out here. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next adventure.